What's going on, everybody? We are back for some more pro wrestling content. What's only two of us? No, it's for the ABJ podcast. We'll put that up there. You can follow me on all social media and all that stuff above the ABJ podcast. Like and subscribe if you're over here on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. We're trying to stay a little more consistent here. We are trying our best, but man, what a week for us anyway as wrestling. The podcast, just real quick housekeeping stuff. If you want to support, links are below. I'm gonna say the same thing for this, like I've been saying with the wrestling thing. If you guys are really enjoying this and you want a way to support it and you want this to become a brand, I'm down to make this a brand again. But it won't be like before where it's going to get its own channel and its own thing. It's all going to be promoted here and just be like a section of this page, if that makes sense. But yeah, so let us know what you think. Maybe we just drop the term podcasts and we just make it the Tornado Tag section. I don't know. I know a lot of people have been clamoring for Tornado Tag podcast. Like, man, I missed Tornado Tag podcast. And it's like, well, it didn't really go anywhere. It's just here now, not called Tornado Tag podcast. Because we just don't do the audio side of things. You know what I mean?
I miss the World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, pretty much. So maybe we'll just do that and I can get the logo retouched up where it's just kind of like tornado tag, and then just drop the podcast part. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Because it's doing well. People seem to really like it. We've been doing a lot of wrestling shows, reviews and history ofs, and it's kind of, like I said, the same content, and we've been adding a little more faces here and there, but for the most part, just me and you hanging out. We are going to do Wrestlemania 22 tonight, but like I said, if you want to check out the links below, sorry, I'm burping like crazy. The links for myself, Precious, and Philly Mike, as well as BP, are all below, so you can go check out Project Humanoid, Philly Mike's Linktree, and Precious's Linktree, as well as mine. There's a little bit of everything for there on there, merch, the whole nine. It is 3/16 today, which is pretty cool.
Stone Cold Day. What?
You went and played some trivia for Stone Cold Trivia and dominated.
That's being mean. Much respect to the second place finishers. Gary from Smart Mark Video, Carolina Jim.
How many points behind were they?
I don't remember, like 4 or 5.
A lot.
Look,
the double champ doesn't apologize for nothing.
Yeah, fun times, good questions. Yeah, absolutely. A great one. Good. There was a good mix of like hard questions, easy questions, medium questions. I didn't run the table for sure.
And all Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Wow. What was a hard one that you didn't get?
Now I gotta rack my brain. So the questions were written by Tony Depp, and Tony did an incredible job. The first section, they break them up into like sections of 5 with a bonus question. There were like 5 of those. The first question was all about like non-wrestling stuff. I didn't know how many movies Steve Austin has been in.
2, 3?
Oh, way more.
Really?
Yeah. 10
movies.
10 movies. Now I'm drawing a blank. As we got into the more wrestling adjacent stuff, I got a lot more. I didn't know the name of the river that his Intercontinental title was thrown into by The Rock. It was some river in Maine. I did not know that. But no, fun times, and once again, as the ban was lifted and I was allowed to participate once again, emerged victorious and won a sweet Pilgrim Brewing hat, which I'm wearing right now.
I love this hat, but this hat's supposed to be the Fred Durst hat, but it looks like a MAGA hat. Yeah. So make Pottsville beer great again, I guess. Listen, I still love my Chetty. I love you, Yingling, even though you didn't acknowledge me or recognize me for 4 years, but that's all right. Pilgrim loves me, and that's all that matters. You took something off your bucket list this weekend?
Well, I did get to finally do some work in the ring. I have a thing where literally up until this weekend, I had never I can count on 2 fingers the amount of times I've been in a wrestling ring, and it was always as a fan. It was when I was a bit younger. One was when I was like in my teens. One was when I was in my 20s, I believe. And it was always like to get in the ring when they would do the whole thing where you do the gimmick where, hey, come on up and pay well, when I was a teenager, it was like $10. Now it's probably 20, 30. When I did it was 20. And get your picture in the ring with the wrestler. Like the first time when I was a teenager, I got one with Bam Bam Bigelow. And then a bit later, I got one with Kevin Nash and my new favorite AEW wrestler, Jeff Jarrett. And so that this was literally over the weekend, the third time ever I'd been in the wrestling ring. I was entrusted by PPW to interview the reigning heavyweight champion, the Mecca, and it didn't go well. The Mecca apparently has some kind of axe to grind with me, made me stand in the corner on threat of violence. And then he threatened the referee, Jeff Carden.
Does he know you drafted him in our indie draft, right?
Oh, he knows. He just doesn't care.
Oh, okay.
He just doesn't. He knows
you're from Philly and love Philadelphia. Yeah. Okay.
No, he just doesn't like me. It's clear at this point. He just doesn't like me. I don't think he likes anybody.
I don't think he does at all.
He's a miserable individual. He's an incredible talent in the ring, but just a miserable man. And he demanded, because he didn't get this when he initially won the title in December, he demanded that he was introduced as a champion and had the belt formally strapped around his waist, the championship, formally strapped around his waist. And unfortunately, PPW senior official Jeff Carden dropped the PPW title. I guess he was nervous because most people probably haven't been around the Mecca, but a very intense individual. Very intense individual. And I guess the nerves got to Jeff Carden. He dropped the title, and he might as well have dropped the Mecca's child. And he backed Mecca backed Carden into a corner, and it looked like it was about to get very, very ugly. So I think I figure maybe I can try to talk some sense into the Mecca, and if nothing else, it'll buy Jeff enough time to get out of Dodge. And I got unceremoniously shoved to the mat for my troubles, and I'm like, well, okay, I don't want any more of this, so I'm getting out of here. Luckily, Jeff Jeff stuck around to officiate the match. He's a little braver than I am. And Griffin McCoy, Philly, whatever. Delco stands up for Delco. Griffin McCoy came out and gave Mecca all it could handle, but was unceremoniously kicked below the belt from behind and lost his attempt at the PPW title. But the big news there is the Mecca is doing an open challenge April 7th, a rare Friday show for PPW is the next one there at the Slatington Expo Center. Already announced, Moose is coming back, and somebody that we have enjoyed working with in the past, Brian Kendrick, coming back to PPW in April.
Brian's a good dude.
Absolutely.
Trying to find, as we're talking, I was like, I probably should pull this up, but I don't have it right now. So give me a second. Whoopsie. Yeah. So besides that, any good backstage interviews got done? What was the overall vibe of the show?
If you're I don't know, I'm not doing the mirror image correctly here. If you watch PPW on WYLN or Fight TV, you will probably quite enjoy the interview that I got a chance to do with Championship Material. If you remember the tag team draft, I drafted them. I think it was my first tag team.
Yes.
And unfortunately, no longer, I can't get that hat right. I'm just going to take it off. No longer the PPW tag team champions. But still, again, maybe not the best or friendliest people if you meet them in a formal setting, but talent off the charts and an interview for the ages for sure. Even though they may have somewhat forced me into things I didn't really want to do, given a moment of silence, or people I'd rather not give a moment of silence for that weren't there. I don't want to give names, but it may rhyme with Schmister Schmuda.
Yeah, he got smushed, I heard.
Well, speedy recovery, but very, very noted by his absence, and I may have had to bow my head, kind of under threat of bodily harm, to observe a moment of silence, Aruda. But fun times all around. Samurai Del Sol there, the former Kalisto, Lindsay Dorado coming back, tearing the house down, and one of the best concession stand experiences, and a very unlikely one, because the venue is within a farmer's market, so you can't really do the stereotypical buying a hot dog, buying a soda, buying a slice of pizza. But if you go right out the door to the farmer's market, you can get pretty much whatever you want. Unfortunately, the cheesesteak place is not open yet. Hopefully soon. I wound up going for the shrimp tacos. There was some barbecue there.
EPW getting classy.
Yeah, the Slatington Farmers Market has some shrimp tacos. There's a full bar directly outside of the venue. So that's fun. That definitely made the crowd a little hotter. There's a barbecue joint, a ramen joint. So definitely a great venue.
Had me a beer.
Yeah. Couldn't have been more hospitable. I maybe I'm saying something I shouldn't say because this is a little inside baseball, and I've done a pretty good job trying to keep it wink wink nudge nudge here, but this is the first time I've ever been in a locker room where they provided catering, like not traditional catering, but there were a bunch of pizzas and a few giant hoagies taken back for. I had a slice of pizza. I was like, let's just save most of this for the wrestlers. But I was kind of nervous because I actually had a spot on the card here. So I'm like, I'm doing something here. I don't feel bad if I grab a slice of pizza. So
your backstage interview, you're part of the show. You deserve at least another slice.
My whole rule is unless you're in the ring doing something physical, you should probably take a step back.
I would tend to agree with that until I realize that commentary has just as important of a job and just as much to do as a wrestler.
Yeah, but you're not putting your body on the line. I there's a certain respect for me for the ring. There's a certain respect.
I respect the ring totally as well. But showing a wide range of emotions for 2 hours, 11 matches, sometimes 13.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's draining.
I got unceremoniously dumped on my behind, but
that's worth a
I think the most physical pain I was in from just standing all day. I'm an older guy, I'm a bigger guy, so standing and walking and doing that for a 10-hour day is probably a little more taxing than I'm not trying to disparage the strength of the Mecca, but I've been pushed before, and it was a hearty push, but I think the wear and tear was a little more physically taxing than I wouldn't want to go. Forget 5 minutes. When we go 2 minutes in the ring with the Mecca, I've had enough. I think I'm done with in-ring physical activity for the rest of my life.
That's because I need you here, BP.
Yeah. But yeah. So fun times all around is the general statement there.
Yeah, so I just want to quick put over. We're going to be in Philadelphia this Saturday at Icons
God's Country.
Wrestling.
There we go.
There you go. We'll be at the 2300 Arena, formerly known as the ECW Arena.
Some of us are lucky enough to get on the graphic.
Yeah, so well, Philly Mike is a talent.
Me and Riley Crow, small potatoes.
Yeah, you and Riley not on the flyer, but we'll also be there. And then
who'd Riley Crow ever beat?
Who did she ever beat? Ricky Price. She beat him, I think, once. But anyway, I will be hosting the event later on that night over on Christopher Columbus Boulevard.
No, Delaware Avenue.
But yeah, doors start at 3:30, bell at 4. Come over, hang out, see a cool wrestling show. After the show, we will have, that's not what I was looking for, there will be a live band playing, so you can come hang out, watch some live music, and we'll get you out of there in time to head back to 2300 Arena and watch the Icon show.
If you love independent wrestling, there is nowhere in the world you would rather be on Saturday than, well, just in general, there's nowhere in the world at any point, any time that you would rather be than Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But especially if you enjoy independent wrestling, and especially this Saturday, March 18th, because bright and early in the morning, you can come right into Icons of Wrestling. You can meet FTR. You can meet
us.
You can meet the important people, which is Philly Mike and Mike Skyros and ABJ. Yeah. You can meet the guy I am really excited to meet, Jacques Rougeau.
I sold a ticket to this event. Someone is coming to see me. That is mind-boggling to me.
You can meet the single nicest person. Do you know who bought a ticket to see you? That's cool.
I do. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Not family or my mom, so that's even cooler. Yeah.
I got to meet somebody on Saturday that is very familiar with your work.
Who?
Anthony Graves.
Oh, Graves, man, he's a good
Yeah,
dude.
he was a PPW. Yeah,
You know what? You know what? You know
he
what?
stopped and
I'm
he
very
stopped and said
happy
hi
for
to me after
Graves.
the show.
You know, I'm very happy for Graves. You know, but there is part of it. So like, I'm slowly, and I'll talk about it. I'm slowly backing away from the commentary role. I like doing it, but like, as a content creator, I'm not getting content at shows. You know what I mean? Like, I go there, I work, I do everything I got to do, but I'm not really getting a benefit when it comes to my brand because my brand doesn't really get put over, and that's fine. But I'm kind of looking back on it now, and it's just like I see the other content creators going in there and getting content and being used as a content creator, and I'm like, well, how did I miss that boat? You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, all right, not a big deal. But Graves got it first time ever. PPW's Doors gets an interview with Kalisto. Like I
Oh,
did
really?
I did like a bunch of meet and
Huh.
greets, and this dude snags an interview first time out. So that's super dope. Like that, I hopefully, you know, maybe that changes for content creators is when they come in. Maybe promoters are like, "Yo, go give this dude 5 minutes of your time and give him an interview," because I think it's valuable to put your promotion over, and that's something I've been champion for a long time. So maybe I help lay some brick down, even though I didn't get a chance to walk on them, but. Super happy for Graves. Go check out his channel. He does have a full, like about a 5 or 10 minute interview with Kalisto. So go check that out.
Kalisto, super cool. Lindsay
Yeah.
Dorado, great to have him back as well. Layla Gray, I did get a chance to interview Layla Gray and Lindsay. Well, no, actually, I don't remember if I interviewed Lindsay or if I filmed that interview, but Lindsay is always great. I interviewed him the last time.
Might be one of the last times you see Lindsay with the
Well,
mask on.
yeah, Lindsay. Well, I didn't always see with the mask on. Wink, wink.
But he might be coming back out at some.
And again, he would follow Lindsay there, and I don't want to blow up his spot. And spoilers, pause, fast forward a few minutes if you don't want to be if you don't want to have wrestling secrets finally revealed. Lindsay Dorado will follow in a long line of people who used to work for let's just say the name Chikara.
Yeah.
Who unmasks, and you're like, why did they ever wear a mask? They look great.
Lindsay is a good look. I'm very comfortable with my sexuality. Yeah. Lindsay's a good looking dude.
He's lucha lit with or without the mask.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about Lindsay Dorado. So if he is taking that mask off, good for him. And yeah, he'll do just fine. It's a cosmetic business, and he is going to do just fine in the cosmetic department.
Yeah. Last little bit of news here. Also, if you check out the bottom of our YouTube page, Smash Master Wrestling just released their last show.
Yes.
Go watch it. It was fantastic. Really, really good show. Lots of good stuff happened there. Probably the first time I seen a crowd leave the arena, come back in the arena, then leave the arena again and come. Like, dude, they were hot. It was the hottest crowd I've ever seen at an independent show.
Watch that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
You need to experience Smash Master Wrestling live. I'm telling you right now, you will have an absolute blast. BP's coming next again, our next time.
Yep.
It's gonna happen. You're coming because you have to experience it.
Absolutely.
I might have a little surprise for y'all guys if you're in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Delaware area, and you want to drive to Throop, Pennsylvania. Tickets are on sale right now. For Pennsylvania Wild, the Goons will be in attendance. Jay Bougie, Kit Raff, the main event. We'll get a little JS Hawthorne versus Smash Master, but versus the Smash Master himself, Uncle Masty. But use code ABJ, you get a discount on your tickets. I believe it's 10. It might be 10 or 15. I don't know, but there is a discount. I'm going to be completely upfront. I believe it's
10% off or 15% off.
I don't get anything for the tickets. This just goes to help Uncle Masty out. So please go use code ABJ. Tell them, it lets people know they got the tickets from here. Come see a show, man. It's a really good time.
Look at those. Bring that graphic back up if you can. Look at those two faces at the very, very top. That has already been announced. That is your main event. That is Jay Bougie against Kit Raff. So you have Jay Bougie, who is, and let's be honest about Bougie. He is the most kind of unpleasant, disrespectful.
He's a dirtball.
Dirtball, but talented.
Too talented.
And too talented. So let's run that again. Unpleasant, dirtball, obscenely talented. Who's the other big face on that poster there?
Kit Raff?
The notorious KIT. Jay Bushi is going to be looking into a mirror, and he's fighting the meanest, nastiest, toughest that the 570 has to offer in Kit Raff, and it is going to be a battle of wills.
And go check out the last Master show, because Kit Raff versus MIT was fantastic. You know what?
Top to bottom, fun show. Everything is great.
I watched Kit Raff now for about 4 years wrestling, and you know what? It finally hit me. You know who Kit Raff is, essentially? He's our 570 version of Eddie Kingston.
I was gonna say Taz, but I'm a little bit older than you. But Eddie Kingston, Taz, that just serious face, mean, no frills. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna fight. That is Kit for sure.
Love it to death. Also this week, come on the podcast. I do have an interview with Skyros coming up. That is going to get pushed to Sunday. So this Sunday, Mike Skyros will come on the podcast. I was supposed to go to a concert today. It kind of fell through, so that didn't happen. But the next week, BP, you're going to love this one. And you know what? I'll even throw, actually, you'll be at work when this, I was going to throw you an invitation to come join. But on Tuesday, Eric Pinhead of the Diamond City War Machines. And on Thursday, Brad DeMayo. So that's going to be next week on the podcast. Episodes are rolling through it. That's actually episode 40. I made a little mishap making these graphics, and then I lost all the images.
Look at those beautiful colors on that gear. Look at the beautiful font on that gear for the Diamond City War Machines.
But let's I think that pretty much covers everything for the podcast. Also just put out our first horror movie review for Scream, so go check that out. We have more coming there. The GoPro worked really well.
Now I have to ask, what's your favorite scary movie
of all time?
Sure.
So I have a really close 3-way tie. It's the original Halloween. It's Scream.
Great one.
It's Scream 1, and it's Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, well, I'll give you this. Halloween and Scream, the original Halloween, the original Scream, are two of the very few horror movies, and I'm gonna turn heel here. They're two of the very few horror movies that are actually good movies. So good job there. My favorite is, and this is a sentimental one, it's also my favorite Christmas movie, is Gremlins.
Okay, Gremlins is a great movie. Great movie, yeah. But Scream 6 was very good.
Right on.
Ghostface.
Well, don't give too much. Don't give too much. Just tell them where to find your review.
We'll watch the video. But more coming. The GoPro is a good addition. We might even strap the GoPros on for our drive. Maybe our drive. I don't know, because it's like super
the drive to the drive back, you're gonna be like, we're all gonna be half asleep. So
yeah, we'll figure something out. Maybe I'll give you the camera during the meeting, during the con, and you can like help me vlog.
Yeah, we have some friends that are gonna be there.
Yeah.
My dear close personal friend bought me a soda once. The Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, will be in attendance. A few people we've met before. Alicia Toot's gonna be there. FTR. Well, we never met FTR.
I think I might bring my FTR figures, not to get them signed for me personally, to sell them to someone
to get signed. Yeah,
like, there is somebody figures that you can go get bought. You can buy them and go get them signed right now. Make some.
There is somebody I may part with $20-$30 to go get a picture with.
Who?
Jacques Rougeau, the Mountie, one of my all-time favorites. Such a commitment to whatever he did. If you look at two of my favorite wrestling themes are All American Boys by the Rougeau brothers, is written by Jimmy Hart, is the greatest wrestling theme ever written. And if you ever listen to the Mounties theme song where Jacques sings, he just goes so over the top. Look at SummerSlam 1991, which this summer I think we should do a review on. Okay. He is picture perfect as a comedic, cowardly heel, and I love Jacques Rougeau, even though Kevin Steen hates him. Kevin Owens hates him
right now, and there's 3 people that are on my. I would like.
Well, FTR, but that's not in the budget.
Yeah, I can't afford FTR, so I'm not even talking about it. So here's who's there: Team 3D. Cool for Devon. I already met him though. Here's the name that I'd like to meet: Jake the Snake Roberts.
You want to play 21?
Listen, when a man doesn't have to scream to be heard. FTR is in attendance. Another name I'd like to meet: Jerry Briscoe.
That's cool, yeah. Chris, if I wanted to hook you, you'd be hooked.
Yep. Mark Briscoe will be there. Marty Bell.
No relation, Mark Briscoe.
Spice, Fry, and AJ Jazz. I think they're all Nitro girls, right?
Spice, Fire, yeah.
Fire,
and AJ.
The Mountie, Eric. Sorry, go ahead.
We'll be talking about a Nitro girl on this show. Yes. On this stream.
Just kind of going through. I'm skipping some names here. Action Andretti will be there. Lance Archer.
I know him a little bit.
Nasty Boys. Allison K. I like Allison K a lot.
She's good.
PG-13. Another tag team.
PG-13. Yes.
Yeah, another tag team that I would like to meet. The Steiner brothers. Both will be in attendance.
Oh man, if that was a little more affordable.
Yep.
One of my favorite tag teams of all time. So good.
Yeah, same. Mandy Leon, Dean Malenko, Jimmy Hart, Adina Steele will be there.
Yeah, the great Adina Steele.
Ted DiBiase, Tatanka, Shane Douglas, and Francine. Morrison, Jerry Lawler, Melina, IRS, Jimmy Hart.
Jerry, let's put a little asterisk next to Jerry Lawler's name because he might still be recuperating.
Yeah, that's very true. Camila Brickhouse, Lex Luger, Teddy Long, Virgil will actually get to hang out the $1 Million Man, Bobby Fish, Tony Nese, Brian Kendrick, Harry Smith, Sean Spears. I believe a few names were announced, but they're not on the website. But a lot of cool names will be there. But like I said, like those two tag teams, well, 3 tag teams would be dope to meet. But
that warms my heart. That warms my heart. Those names of people all mentioned, the Dina Steele right there with them. That is so cool. And earned. And Action Andretti, yeah. But Adina, we've seen from like really early on. And early. Yeah, and she has put so much work in, and it's so great to see her ascend to those levels.
Dude, here you want to know how long we've been around Adina Steele? Here, I'll put you to the test. Here's how long we've been around Adina Steele. I'm gonna pull up the graphic again of the icons. This is how long we've been around Adina Steele. How old do you think this graphic is? Where is it?
Waiting.
Can you see
that? Yeah. That's
many year one Adina.
That's a few tattoos ago for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's year one Adina.
And getting billing over the $1 Million Man over Tatanka, over Shane Douglas and Francine. Yes. Yeah. Love it for Adina. Love it for Adina. Can't wait until she's back in the ring soon. I know she's itching to get back in, but hopefully she doesn't rush it too much, and she's gonna be back better than ever, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah. One last thing. I'm sorry, we made you guys go a half hour before we actually got into WrestleMania 22. I know you're a big video game guy. I don't know how you are at wrestling video games, but I will tell you this right now, BP. 2K23, fantastic.
It is, but I don't want to spend $100 on a video game, so I haven't bought it yet.
Yeah, because you have to get the deluxe edition. Like it's that one game you have to do a deluxe.
Yeah, really, well, you don't have to.
It's really fun.
You can be cheap and not like me.
It's amazing. Go pick it up if you're a wrestling. The only problem is the showcase mode still pisses me off because I'm like, I have to do a challenge, and then the challenge never presents itself for me to get it done.
Yeah. Well, that's also early release. That like those bugs will probably be worked out in a few months.
Yeah. But
2K22 was very good.
Yeah. This one's way better.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into it. WrestleMania 22. It is the second annual WrestleMania professional wrestling pay-per-view event produced by the World Wrestling Entertainment.
22nd annual.
22nd annual. So
if we're going to review, you said second. If we're reviewing WrestleMania 2, I'm out of here. That was awful.
It was held
for one of the worst WrestleManias ever.
For Raw and SmackDown brand divisions. The event took place on April 2nd, 2006 at the Allstate Arena in Chicago in the suburb of Rosemont, Illinois. Now, a little cool fact here I pulled up, I see here, Brian, is it was the third WrestleMania to take place in Chicago metropolitan area following 2 and 13. Tickets sold out in under 2 minutes, grossing $2.5 million for the event, making it the highest day one grossing event at the Allstate Arena. More than 17,155 people flooded the arena from 16 countries and 43 different states to attend, with millions of more watching in 90 countries. WrestleMania 22 also marked as the last WrestleMania to be held in a traditional arena, and everyone after that, including WrestleMania 36, has been held in a stadium.
And well, not including WrestleMania 36.
Yeah,
WrestleMania 36 was held at the Performance Center.
Excluding WrestleMania.
Yeah, that was the COVID Mania, but yeah, this was the last Arena Mania. This was with a crowd. 36 is the bad times.
Yeah,
36 is the shutdown times.
So, I won't go through the matches yet because we're going to go over them individually. But the storyline leading into this was the main story was John Cena versus Triple H for the WWE Championship. After failing to win the Royal Rumble match, Triple H participated in a 2006 Road to WrestleMania tournament where the winner would become the #1 contender for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. It went Big Show, Shelton Benjamin for first round. Big Show beating Shelton Benjamin. Ric Flair, Triple H, with Triple H winning. Chris Masters and Kane with Chris Masters going over. RVD Carlito with RVD going over. RVD beat Chris Masters. No contest for Big Show and Triple H, and then it became a triple threat with Triple H beating Big Show and Rob Van Dam to go on to face John Cena at WrestleMania. Commentator. Go ahead. Commentators for the event, whereas for the Raw side was Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. SmackDown side was a Michael Cole and Taz. Michael Cole and Taz with Joey Styles entering the fray for the Mick Foley Edge match.
We'll talk about that when we get to that match.
Coachman, Todd Gresham, and Joff Matthews all backstage doing interviews. Tony Chimmel, Lillian Garcia, and Howard Finkel, Hall of Famer, were all ring announcers that night. What else we got here? The Hall of Fame. I'm trying to find the Hall of Fame list.
Well, there's a part of that on the
cool.
show itself.
I'll let you go over that part then. All right, that's pretty much all I got to run it through. So walk us through what you have, BP, and let's get into our card.
So this isn't on Peacock, but there was a pre-show battle royal which was won by Big Vis, the world's largest love machine.
Anthony Graves in the chat. There he is. There.
And then our opener, and this is a textbook Raw match. It's the Raw Tag Team titles, Carlito and Chris Masters against the defending champions Big Show and Kane, and essentially a Raw match. Wasn't anything bad here. I always thought Chris Masters could have gotten a run as a singles babyface, and it never really happened. I always think it could be like the All-American. I hate to bring up PPW again, but Alec Odin is one of the guys there in PPW. He had a big win. He actually had a big win on Saturday. He got into the golden ticket qualifier match. He beat a guy. If you're gonna buy stock in a local wrestler, here's your guy. Very young, still. I know he's in the ring now, but he's been training for a little bit. One half of the tag team primetime heat, Dio Bando. I know he's been working with Alpha. He's been working with Cheeseburger. This kid is he's got everything. He's got size. He's got a look. He's got presence. He can go in the ring. He has it all. Dio Bando is a guy that you and me are going to be talking in 10 years from now, saying, "Remember when we worked with Dio Bando?" That's going to be us. So with this, it is a tag team match, and Chris Masters is kind of like that big muscle guy, and I think he could have been like a patriotic Lex Luger, Alec Odin type muscle guy. Mm-hmm. But here he's a heel. He's with Carlito, and this is kind of a it's a decent match, and Big Show and Kane. I didn't realize this is 2006. I didn't realize Big Show had hair at this point. I think it's shortly after this that Big Show gets the trank dart in the butt and Kurt Angle shaves his head, because I think by the time he goes to ECW, which is less than 6 months after this, he's bald as a cue ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, Big Show and Kane get the win here.
Yeah, match didn't do a whole lot for me. What do I have here for time wise? 6 minutes 45 seconds. Those tag team titles are pretty nice though.
Yeah, those are the world. They divided it up between the world tag team titles, which are those which were on Raw, which are supposed to have the lineage of the like 90s and 80s tag team titles that like the New Age Outlaws had, Demolition had, even all the way back to the Wild Samoans.
It had the old school tag gold, like the tag team silver look, but then it had like a red skew to it for Raw and then a blue skew for SmackDown.
Yeah, the blue ones were a little more modernized. The original World Tag Team titles were they had the big globe on them. But yeah, these were cool looking titles. They kind of reminded me, they're not as cool looking, but they kind of reminded me of any title of the the defunct WWE UK title,
Okay.
where you had that kind of boxy design with a lot of accents of red and black, but very cool titles. Our second match, this is the second ever Money in the Bank match, and this was still at WrestleMania. It will be at WrestleMania for a few more years after this. This is going to be Finlay, who we talked about last week, Matt Hardy, who was in a cruiserweight match last week, Bobby Lashley, who was in the main event of that No Mercy show, Ric Flair, who was a Raw guy, Shelton Benjamin, who was there to do athletic shit, and Rob Van Dam, who is not that far removed from, and I even mentioned he had missed the WrestleMania the year before, not too far removed from a very serious knee injury. And this is a Money in the Bank where we get a bunch of spots. This is like spot after spot after spot after spot. This kind of reminds me of a match we'll talk about later, but it's a little bit different. And my issue with these big ladder matches that are very high spot dependent is you do run into the law of diminishing returns, where stuff that looked like it was super risky and super high concept and super wild in 2006 might seem a little bit more middle of the road in 2023, even if it's really cool stuff. And I think that happens here.
Yeah, as Mick Foley, Hell in a Cell 1 with Shawn and Taker. Yeah. Shawn's a bloody mess, and probably, I honestly, I still think the first Hell in a Cell is the better of the Hell in a Cell.
It's a better match.
Yes,
it is a better match for sure.
But Foley's like, well, how do I top what Shawn and Taker did? And it's like, well, I have to get thrown off it, and then choke slam through the top. Like, I'll talk more about Foley when we get there. But
we will.
That dude, the wrestling world needs.
I am wearing this shirt for a reason.
He should just Mick Foley should start a Patreon or a GoFundMe or a subscription service where if you're a wrestling fan and you say you're a wrestling fan, you just take $5 out of your check every month, every week, and just give it to Mick Foley.
You pay the Foley tax?
Yeah, there should be. If you're a wrestling fan, you should have to pay a Foley tax, because that guy did insane stuff for this business that he shouldn't have had to do.
And they do some stuff in this match, and this is a point in time where they realized people were kind of smart to this. Ric Flair is in this match, and Ric Flair at this point is, I believe, 57 years old. And if you're judging by 57-year-old wrestlers, Ric Flair is one of the best to ever do it at that age. Ricky Morton's up there.
How old is a certain AEW star right now?
He's up there. I don't know if he's 57. That's a good question. But, I love that match. Yeah, that was my favorite match of the night last night.
Dude, everyone is hating on him, and they said they would have been pissed
I love
if
it.
He would have won the title.
I was
better
pissed
right now in the ring than 90% of that roster still.
I was pissed that he didn't win the title, and I love Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
He's 55. He's 2 years younger than Ric Flair was in this match.
Jeff Jarrett looks like he looks amazing. He looks fucking amazing. Here's one thing, and I love AEW, but right now they're struggling. They're having a hard time. They have good promos where they get the crowd involved, but when the match itself happens, there's not many people who look to play to the crowd. They do spots, and the spots are what tries to get them to get the reaction. Jeff Jarrett is just putting on a clinic of how to work a crowd.
That is a man with a firm understanding of wrestling psychology. Yes.
So good. And Orange Cassidy's whole gimmick is playing to the crowd.
But even, his whole thing is playing to the crowd. And then he also showed I also know how to sell and be an underdog. That kip up on one leg was amazing.
Amazing.
So good. I love that. It had just the right amount of overbooked TNA nonsense with all the interference and stuff.
Yeah.
Graves,
check your messages on Instagram, man. If you're interested, man, you can join us. If you know I'm sure you know the pay-per-view. You can come in and hang out and talk with us. We'll plug you a little bit. So check your message if you want to come in. Just hit me up. But yeah, dude, Orange Cassidy, Jeff Jarrett is. I think Jeff Jarrett right now, and I love Jericho, but I'll watch 100 Jeff Jarrett matches before another Chris Jericho match right now.
Ain't he great?
He's so good. He's so good.
Love Jeff Jarrett. Yep. You're slowly coming over to the dark side. You're slowly coming over to the traditional wrestling side.
I've always liked Jeff Jarrett, though. I've always been a Jeff Jarrett fan. But I'm slowly. You live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And
You're becoming the villain.
I'm slow. I'm 2 weeks away.
Let the hate flow through you.
I'm 2 weeks away from listening to the Cornet Experience.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas. I'm getting you a tennis racket.
I'll display it. I'll display it.
So, very, very fun stuff here. Lots of ladder spots. Shelton Benjamin is just being crazy. Gifted Shelton Benjamin. So good. Van Dam gets the win here.
The very last bump. The double spot off the ladder bump.
Matt Hardy and Shelton, yeah.
Matt Hardy hooks the top rope and smashes his whole head and back and body off the ring apron and just takes, like, Shelton Benjamin falls, steps on the rope and then lands safely.
Yeah.
Matt falls, hooks his arm, breaks his whole body and lands like a psychopath.
Yeah, that's a very Hardy thing to do. Matt, this is why Matt talks about the bump cards. You only have so many bumps in your life. It's on a card, and once your card runs out, like my bump card is 1. So my bump card is just about done now.
I took a decapitation from Leo Sparrow. That's enough for me.
And Matt's is a little higher.
I got shoved through a light post by Julius Smokes. I'm done.
Yours is 2. So yeah, good stuff. And this is very important because Rob Van Dam wins the Money in the Bank, and he does something very unique. They tried it one other time, and it wound up not happening because of a lot of injuries and backstage machinations. But Van Dam is a guy who, and this is the only time it actually happened and the match went through, Van Dam called his shot. Well, actually, no, Cena did the same thing. And he lost. He was the first guy to officially lose the Money in the Bank. But Van Dam called his shot because that June of 2006 was the second ECW One Night Stand, which then led to the ECW brand on Sci-Fi. And Van Dam said, I'm cashing in my Money in the Bank at ECW One Night Stand, and that's when I'm going to challenge for the title.
So that is the showcase match in the new game.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
So essentially, this showcase is all of the major matches that John Cena lost in his career. So in this showcase, instead of playing as John Cena the entire time, you play as all of John Cena's opponents and beat John Cena.
Oh, well, that's fun for the Cena haters. We'll get to them later.
Yeah.
We'll get to them in a little bit.
There's a very fun swerve. Do you want a spoiler?
Sure. Go ahead.
So you go through the whole showcase and you beat Cena. So if you don't want to hear this, please mute this. I'll give you 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. So you beat Cena, all of it. Then at the very end, he's like, I'm going to give me one more opportunity. Pick whatever wrestler you want. So you get like a choice between like Edge, Triple H, all these people. Matt starts, ding, ding, ding. A, 1, 2, 3. You can't do anything about it to stop. And then it's all over your screen. LOL. John Cena wins. John Cena wins. And he's just like,
funny.
He's like, you can't lose all the time. So then you fight him again and you pick a wrestler. He's like, let's do another one. And then you fight Super Cena, which is essentially his clothes because you can't see him. It's invisible John Cena. You beat him. And then John Cena is like, hey, we have one more match. It's WrestleMania. You have to go out there and you have to wrestle one more match. And then you play as John Cena, and your fatal 4-way match at the very end is you as John Cena versus Stone Cold versus Hulk Hogan versus Bruno Sammartino.
So you're Mount Rushmore. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Rock? There's your Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, and that's how you unlock Bruno.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Very cool.
It's a cool it's a cool showcase.
So after that Money in the Bank is when you have your Hall of Fame segment. They do a thing in the back with Mean Gene Okerlund. He's the first announcer to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And Randy Orton interrupts. This is kind of the genesis of the Legend Killer, which is around this time. Or maybe not the genesis. He may be made a little farther in because, this is the year after he wrestled Undertaker. And he's basically saying, why is Okerlund in the Hall of Fame after he held a microphone for 35 years? That's all he ever did. By the way, Gene Okerlund is, I've done backstage interviews. Gene Okerlund is better at that than anybody has ever been in anything in wrestling. That is not as easy as it looks. And Gene Okerlund was the best to ever do it. And the only person I can think of, there's only 2 people I can ever think of that have ever come close. and it's Renee Paquette and Tony Schiavone.
Yes,
but Gino and Gino, I'm not saying. Well,
Coach was good, but Coach was
Coach-
he was
yeah.
the comedy guy. He was there. You put if
Yeah.
you wanted someone to get like smacked around. But dude, when I'm like having a bad day or I'm just like I need to smile today, I always put on Mean Gene Okerlund's outtakes backstage.
Yeah. Oh, they're great.
It's the best. Where he's like, "Come here, you missed your fucking flight." Like just hearing him curse and like.
You missed your local promos. You didn't do TV. Or with Valentine, when Valentine's was like, what do you do when he says, pass the fucking potatoes?
Or when
So
he goes, when what's his name is singing and he goes, I'll tell you what, I'm glad you're a professional wrestler because that was the shits.
Yeah. Well, there's even one after Flair wins the Royal Rumble and wins the title. He's like doing this whole interview, and out of nowhere, for some reason, he just looks off and goes, "Put that cigarette out," and it's so good. Yeah. But they do have the Hall of Fame inductees. One is missing.
Is the best. What he just
fuck it.
When Sheik fucking makes him break, and then when Sergeant Slaughter makes him break by his dumb promo.
Batista does do a run on this promo. He was injured. He's not on the show. He had to vacate the title, and that's how Angle winds up with it. He says whoever leaves as champion is just holding the title for him. He will be champion at WrestleMania 23. He was the champion. He was right. And then they do the Hall of Fame introductions. Bret Hart is not comfortable with appearing. He did come in for the Hall of Fame. He did the Hall of Fame a few days before. That was the first time he had come back since the screw job, but he hadn't fully mended fences with Vince or Shawn. So he didn't want to stick around. So that's why he's not there. Gene Okerlund is there though. Sensational Sherry, 100% deserving of the Hall of Fame.
Great card. This regardless of the Bret being a baby, this is a very solid Hall of Fame card.
Tony Atlas is there. Mr. USA, Black Superman. The only guy to
weird foot fetish likes to get his face stomped in by women.
Don't kink shame the man.
I'm not. It's a. Did you see the video? He goes, "Happy New Year."
Yeah, good for him. Who's being hurt? He wants this. He's consenting. Who is being hurt?
Nobody, but it's hilarious. The only beef I ever have with Mr. Atlas is we were at Hamburg, and for some reason I get into a conversation with Tony Atlas for no reason at all, and he just like, yeah, man, this is a very historic building, and I go, yeah, like literally right over there is Piper Snuka, and he goes, that didn't happen here. I go, yes, it did. He goes, I think I'd know it wasn't here. I go, you're wrong. And he's like,
if you watch,
it wasn't here. I go, it was 100% here. We've confirmed it with about everybody. You're wrong. And I'm like, argue with Tony Atlas about wrestling history.
If you've been to the Hamburg Fieldhouse, just watch the video and watch. Right now they use it as the babyface locker room. It's the same. It looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
Also inducted here, Vern Gagne, who I don't think ever stepped foot in WWF, but he created AWA. He's Vern Gagne. Your celebrity wing is William the Refrigerator Perry, who had a match at WrestleMania 2. The Blackjacks, who were a huge tag team. Eddie Guerrero, who had just passed away.
William Perry looked very uncomfortable how much he was being touched by what's her name, though.
Yeah, I don't know who that was. Yeah, they all had divas with them.
She kept rubbing his face and his chest, and he was just like, "It's like my wife is gonna fucking kill me."
My wife is watching this. Yeah, my wife is watching. Please stop.
It was Melina.
It could have been.
Yeah. So that brought out by Maria Kanellis.
Yeah, she was. A lot of those Diva Search people around at this time. Maria's one of the ones that stuck around and actually gave a damn about wrestling, and that's why she's still wrestling to this day.
And she has a great mind for it.
She does. So our U.S. title match is next. It is Chris Benoit in his final. Oh no, he had one more next year. Chris Benoit against JBL. With Jillian Hall, with Dark Order member Jillian Hall. So it's another match that could have. I'm trying to be nice here. It's another match that could have been on
the
TV.
Dark Order member Jillian Hall. Everyone's like, everyone listening is like, what are you talking about? We joined the Dark Order with Jillian Hall, so
yes,
we're all
we did.
Members. We're official members.
Yeah, it was you, me.
Even though the two people who inducted us are no longer Dark Order members, so I don't know if that holds up.
Yeah, one of them left, and one of them is it turned their back on the Dark Order.
Yeah. So I don't know if our membership is still
Yeah,
renewed.
we may have to recheck. We have to check that out. Decent match. JBL cheats to win. He is the new U.S. champion. You can probably be fine. I have a difficult time with Benoit matches. I understand how good he was, and I can make an exception for.
It puts a damper on
Yeah,
things.
I can make an exception for the standout ones. This is one you can just skip. JBL is kind of winding down. Benoit is Benoit. But hey, let's skip right through that because we're about to go to the highlight of the show now. By far, the best match on this show is the hardcore match. Joey Styles joins on commentary. At this time, Jim Ross is here as kind of a guest. At this time, your Raw broadcast team is Joey Styles and Jerry Lawler. This kind of a start of working Jim Ross back in, and we'll talk about the rest of that a little bit later. But this is the only time Joey Styles is your announcer. It'd be like right now if they were doing it and Kevin Patrick only gets one match at WrestleMania and Michael Cole calls the rest or something like that. Or they bring back Jimmy Smith or somebody.
Yeah. And it's a shame because realistically, Joey Styles.
Joey was good.
You can say that Joey's maybe his voice gets too much. Like that's one of the things I hear from people. Like they didn't like his voice or his like.
Oh my god!
That's what made him stand out. He was so much different than everybody else. But like from doing commentary now for a year, maybe 2 years, one of the hardest things I've ever had to do was do a show by myself. That dude makes it look fucking easy. Like his solo commentary is fucking hard.
He is to this day
was the GOAT at it.
To this day, he is the only person to do a major wrestling pay-per-view solo. ECW barely legal.
Crazy.
After that, they gave him a color guy, but yeah.
And he was better by himself.
It depended on the color guy. He was good with Don Callis. Don Callis and Joey had good chemistry.
Yeah, Don Callis.
Cyrus back then. But yeah, this is by far, in my opinion, I could be disagreeing with here, the match of the show.
Yes.
It is Edge and Mick Foley. The storyline here is that Mick was a referee that helped John Cena win the title back from Edge. Edge was the first Money in the Bank cash-in, wins the title from Cena at New Year's Revolution. Cena wins it back at the Rumble with an assist from Foley, and that leads to this match where Edge kind of goads Mick out of retirement. And this isn't Mick Foley at his best because his body is betraying him a little bit, but his mind is still very much intact and his body is there enough. And if you think Mick Foley is just this kindly goodwill ambassador or the guy that was a comedy wrestler that pulled the sock out of his pants, and he does that here, and that's all well and good, watch this match because you'll realize that Mick Foley is one of the best to ever do it. Mick Foley is, if he's not the best brawler in the history of wrestling, he's pretty goddamn close. And it's on full display here. Whenever you talk about Mick Foley, whenever you talk about Cactus Jack, put respect on that name because he is as good as it gets at that style of wrestling. And if I was mulling over
my top 5 again, and I was like thinking, who's my top 5? And
he might be there for me.
Sean's 1, Foley's 2.
All right.
For me.
Yeah, no, that's valid.
And WWE took, so I'm never gonna be able to afford it, so it's gonna be a long time since I could buy it. But I always look through the belts on WWE Shop. Yeah. Mick Foley's belt isn't there anymore. Like when he won the world title, it's that belt, but it has like the Mankind mask wrapped around it, and it's not on the shop anymore. So if I lost my opportunity to buy that, I'd be really disappointed.
This shirt I'm wearing, this is the wanted. There's the WWE Cactus Jack. This is Wanted Dead or Alive. This is the Wanted Dead Cactus Jack shirt. I actually have 2 copies of this. The other one is just over here off camera, and it is autographed by Cactus Jack.
Did he autograph it as Cactus?
It doesn't say Mick Foley. It says Cactus.
Wow, that's sick. He's my bucket list. He's super high on the list. If I ever went somewhere and they're like, yo, he's there, I'm paying for an autograph.
Just hang out at Knoebels every day until you meet him.
And you know the funny thing is, every time I go to Knoebels, like if I know mentally I'm going to Knoebels, I wear a Mick Foley shirt every time.
Yeah, I have done the same. I've worn this very shirt at Knoebels.
Just in case.
For that very reason. Like if he's here, Yeah.
Mick Thomas, what's up, brother?
So yeah, just an incredible match. And
oh, there's Ivan says do WrestleMania 28. Maybe we'll do that next week.
I have a request for next week. Can we do that the week after? If we're just gonna do WrestleMania up until WrestleMania, can we do one for me?
Yeah.
All right, because I'm partial, I'll admit, to the older WrestleManias. So if we want to talk about it right now, I kind of want to do WrestleMania 5, the Mega Powers Explode next week.
Oh, okay. So next week is 5.
And then we could do 28. 28's fine. 28 is once in a lifetime. I was actually at 29, which was twice in a lifetime.
Is this Cena Rock?
Cena Rock won, yeah. And it's also where the crowd hijacks the show for Daniel Bryan the first time.
Okay. Yeah, what's on the list, Ivan? 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
And calling that a childhood favorite makes me feel very old because I can always tell if you tell me the number of the WrestleMania, I can always tell you how old I was. So we're talking about WrestleMania 22. You want to know how old I was?
Your birthday? Is your birthday's in line with the Manias? You said
I was 22.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 28. I was 28.
Nice.
This is WrestleMania 39. I'm 39. I age with the Manias. I can always tell you what year the Mania was.
What's your goal? Mania 80.
That would be. I'll if you offer me
Mania 80,
if you offer me Mania 60 at this point, I'll do that deal.
I don't, dude. I keep thinking about. I'm sorry that it's gonna get real dark. I'm just being honest. Nobody wants to hear what really is in ABJ's brain because people are gonna put me in a fucking mental institution. But like, I think about like 40, 50, 60. I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I hope I don't want to be around.
I do want 40 because it's 4 months from now.
Yeah.
I don't want to die in the next 4 months. So yes, I do want 40.
Yeah, I definitely gotta that Philly Mania is definitely gonna be special. I gotta start saving up now for it though, because I definitely want to experience a Mania for the first time. But what a better place to do it is in Philly. And I think there's gonna be a
greatest wrestling city in the world, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
It is, it really is. And then like us going together would be dope. And then like there's so many content creators who are gonna be there that I've never like Chase from Chase is gonna come out, Mark's coming out, like my buddy from Australia might be coming out for Philly.
Very cool.
Yeah. So actually, a lot of them are talking about going to Forbidden Door 2 in Toronto.
Oh, he said Toronto.
So I might have to get tickets for that too.
Well, I have to get a passport for that too.
I think you have to renew your passport, so I might have to renew.
Probably. I never even got mine. But this is just a lot of barbed wire, a lot of blood and gore but it's all kind of put together psychologically where money in the bank in a match we'll talk about in a little bit here are just spots for the sake of spots and violence for the sake of violence. Everything here makes sense and it escalates. We get to the Mick has barbed wire wrapped around himself when he comes in to eventually he's putting it escalates to the point where he's putting the barbed wire, he's hitting Edge with it, and then it escalates finally to the point where he's putting it around Socko and shoving the barbed wire in Edge's mouth. It just escalates and it builds to a crescendo. And the psychology in this match, because hardcore matches and ring psychology don't tend to go hand in hand. They don't tend to be thought of in the same breath. And they
like,
do this.
For example, AEW will do like the lights out matches or the unsanctioned matches, and it's just like spot to spot to spot to spot to spot.
Yeah.
Where this is exactly how you should do one of those matches.
Yeah. Everything builds to the next thing. They say the way you can tell if wrestling matches have a good psychology is just divide the match up into fifths and then rearrange it. And does it make sense if you put it in a different order? If it still makes sense, you didn't do psychology right. It should go from one to the other and it should make sense.
Yeah.
And this certainly does. And not only is Mick Foley, he's physically not what he was 10 years before this or even 5 years before this, clearly. But his mind is sharp and his body is willing enough. And Edge at this point, and I didn't realize it until much later, he is the best heel in the business at this point. He had just come off of his first title, the Money in the Bank thing, but he isn't a made guy yet. And this feud with Foley, and eventually Foley turns heel and joins forces with him against Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk at ECW One Night Stand. it really makes Edge. And then when he gets his second title reign later on this year, it's like, yeah, he deserves it. He belongs there.
Yeah.
And well, at this point, your best heel is probably Triple H, but Triple H goes babyface not long after this. So this is really Edge coming into his own as the top heel, and then he's joined later by like Jericho and a few other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic match. Cage match gave it a 4.5. Looking at it now.
Yeah, I don't really do star ratings, but it was great.
Good match.
And
14 minutes 36 seconds. The one before that, Bradshaw and Benoit got 10 minutes. Money in the Bank ladder match got 12:31. So just to kind of keep track of timestamps if you're interested.
Oh, and then the famous finish of this is Edge spears. He does the spear through the middle rope out to the floor, but he does it through a flaming table, which is cool.
So watching it back, and then I obviously you want to compare it to Cody when Cody lit the table on fire.
Yeah,
and it didn't go out, and it stuck to him, and it hurt him really, really bad. I was watching that, and I'm like, that's a lot of fucking lighter fluid. And then Lita put more on. I was like, that's a lot of fucking lighter fluid. But it was perfect. He hit, and it went right out.
Well, he hit, and then they rolled, too. And so did Cody, to be fair. But Foley, I think they had two different lighter fluid bottles, and whatever they squirted on Foley before that, I think was something to put the fire out.
Yeah. It was done safely, but it looked fantastic.
Yeah. As safe as you can do when you're playing with fire. Like there was a whole burn in Foley's flannel.
If I'm not mistaken, they let Cody's table burn longer, where Mitch was lit, and then he went right through it.
Yeah, because Mick Foley was probably the one that kind of helped put all that together. And I'm gonna spoil something here. This ain't the first time Mick Foley ever went through a flaming table.
Very true.
He had a little bit of experience
twitching, where he was twitching because he was like shook up about the match.
Yeah,
great job, both guys.
It's Mick Foley. He's a master at his craft.
Yep.
And Edge was coming into that point too. So then we go from that to the goofy stuff. Then we go to the comedy. So Booker T and Sharmell are backstage. They're scared of the boogeyman. The boogeyman is always like threatening them with worms, and Sharmell's scared of worms.
How about our boy sucking on some toes here?
Yeah. Well, that was his gimmick at this point. He had a foot fetish gimmick.
Yeah. So he's licking some Mae Young toes.
So you have Paul Burchill first. He's a pirate. And then you have Eugene dribbling the basketball, and Ted DiBiase kicks it away. Snitsky is sucking on Mae Young's toes while Moolah watches. And then we have Oprah Dust, who says that everyone here is a freak, and the only way that the boogeyman can be defeated is the Booker puts worms in his, and he just whispers it in the Booker's ear. And then Booker just freaks out. And
Booker Goldust, probably one of the best combos.
This is not
combos.
Yeah,
I'm saying like how they eventually would bounce off each other. Gold.
That was before this, and that was when they were like really at the top of their game. At this point, not their finest hour, and we do get Booker T and Sharmell in a handicap match against the Boogeyman. And the less said about this, the better. It's not great. Boogeyman is super, super green.
3 minutes 56 seconds. This match.
Too long. Cut it in half. They should have cut it in half. They should have put it on SmackDown and given that time to Edge and Foley.
Yeah.
The here is Boogeyman gets worms and then kisses Sharmell, so she has worms all over her face and runs away screaming. And then Booker gets the pin. Poor Booker. What did he do? Who did he piss off? That's my thing. I've looked back at this. Who did Booker piss off?
Yeah, is
my thought. But you can probably fast forward through this part.
Now here's a match that I remember. Here's a match that I remember really enjoying. And then watching it back, it wasn't the same for me.
Really? The next one?
Yeah.
The finish was a little wonky.
I think one person carried the match, and I think the other person shows that maybe that the professional wrestling business is people around them are getting better. And I think Mickie James is definitely that bright spot in this match.
Until the end. I thought Trish did fine. It's Trish Stratus and Mickie James, and the angle here is what really drives everything. Mickie was fairly new here, And I was like, yeah,
Please do a video in the future where you rank every Mania match of Undertaker's streak and put it in a tier list.
Okay.
That'd be fun content. Did we ever do the history of Taker?
Probably.
For Tornado Tag, I think we did, right?
Yeah. A tier list would be interesting. I can tell you what I think is probably the worst Undertaker match.
Gonzalez.
Yeah, and the second worst. The two bottom ones are that and Bundy.
Bundy.
This one might be third. We'll get to this one. This one's not great. This one is a little flawed.
Yeah.
But let's focus on the what we have at hand here, and that is Mickie James and Trish Stratus. So Mickie is coming in, and I am like super pumped because the early Ring of Honor shows that I went to, like I watched in person, they didn't have a whole lot of women's matches, but one of the women's matches that stood out to me was Sumie Sakai, who came back way later when they were doing the Women of Honor stuff, and Alexis Lurie, who is Mickie James. That was her name before it was she started using her real name.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was in TNA for a bit. So when she got signed, I'm like, yes, Alexis Lurie's in WWE. And this is a very controversial angle they did here, where Mickie is the obsessed fan, and you come to find out that she's not just a fan of Trish for her wrestling. She kind of is obsessed with Trish in like a Fatal Attraction way. She tries to kiss her a few times. Trish wants nothing of it.
Why can't Mickie think of me that way?
Why can't Mickie think of any of us that way? Because she's Mickie James, and she's a happily married woman with a child.
She's the GOAT, man. She honestly,
Mickie's great. Mickie's still great.
I think when it comes down to if you have to tell me who's like your favorite female wrestler of all time, like how Shawn's my number one, Mickie's probably my number one female.
Mickie's up there, and Mickie looks incredible here, but she also wrestles incredible. Mickie is now almost 20 years older, and she still looks and wrestles incredible. In Impact for sure. Trish is your champion coming in, but Mickie is now just kind of insane. She's a deranged fan who was rejected and has snapped and now hates Trish. And that's the kind of crux of the match. But once you get into the match, they do some decent psychology where Mickey's working the knee. And a lot of things that Trish kind of messes up or might look a little off on, I think she's selling.
Yeah.
This is a good match, I think, and I think both women have a big hand in that.
Yeah, like I respect Trish and Lita for what they did for women's wrestling by being two of the forefronts of just like, hey, we're being the opportunity to be the face of the companies, but also let's start taking the wrestling aspect more serious.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Molly Holly also deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yes, but I also feel like if you were to take like people like now you're watching wrestling, and I feel like Trish and Lita are kind of being forced on us a little hard, and it's just like everyone's like they're the best ever, like they're the legendary ones. I'm like,
yeah.
If you took Lita and Trish in their prime and put them in today's women's wrestling, they'd be mid-carders because women's wrestling has gotten so much better. Maybe not in WWE, but I mean, there is like...
Oh, no, I think some of the best women's wrestling is in WWE.
I agree, but I mean, like the mid-card definitely... The top and the mid, definitely there's a huge drop-off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like Trish and Lita wouldn't... They would be just maybe... half talked about on the independent scene because women's wrestling has gotten so good.
Yeah. But one thing I did notice on this is they did cut something out.
Yeah.
The
vagina spot. The old.
Well, they show it because Trisha's finish at this point is the Stratusfaction, which is a bulldog, and she tries it later and it's really badly botched. But she tries it the first time where the whole thing is she does a bulldog and then she jumps up and kicks her legs off the top rope to get momentum and then drives them down. And she grabs Mickie in the bulldog headlock, and then Mickie gives her a it would be called the testicular claw, but Trish doesn't have testicles, so I guess it's the
she looks like a bowling ball.
The ovarian claw, is that a friendly way to put it? Yeah, we'll say the ovarian claw. And Yeah, she went below the belt a little bit and just grabbed for something, and Trish is kind of repulsed and backs away. And then they kind of do a crowd shot that's a little weird, but what you don't see that's shown on the pay-per-view at the time is Mickey licks the hand that just grabbed Trish below the belt between the legs.
Love it.
And as she's bringing the hand down, she splits her fingers into a V. Yeah, so...
And in that moment, ABJ fell in love with Mickey James.
I was already a fan. I was a fan of the Alexis Marie days. I don't want to talk out of school, but and it's unfortunate, but Mickey James was the unfortunate
and Monkey says in the
victim.
Chat, Vince didn't like that, which is fucking crazy. WWE, go out there and get sexualized because I said so. But if you get too sexual, we don't like it.
He was fine with the Playboy pillow fight a little bit later, which was a million times worse.
So crazy.
Which was just completely skippable.
Here's my little soapbox. Women are allowed to be objectified unless they're the ones objectifying themselves. Then that's not allowed. Yeah.
Mickey may have had some photographs leak out before she was a star that made the rounds, we'll say. And left nothing to the imagination. So our next match,
still the GOAT.
Mickey's amazing, still is. The reigning Impact champion and still doing a great job over there. And then when she's done with that, a surefire WWE Hall of Famer.
9 minutes on the dot for that match.
So after Mickey gets the win here, Vince McMahon is in the back, and the whole McMahon family, Vince, Shane, Linda, and Stephanie,
I like how they cut real quick. Talking about sexualization, they cut to Mickey with her boobs pushed up, making the crazy eyes, and they're kind of zooming in on her chest, and then it cuts to Vince McMahon's chest flexing.
Yes, I loved one of the Lawler lines for this. He says, "If Mickey's skirt gets any shorter, it'll be a belt." Because I mean, she was wearing shorts under there, but they were very far up. We'll just put it that way. So then we go back to Vince, and they're teasing something that'll happen after WrestleMania here. Vince is dropping to his knees with the rest of the McMahon family and praying to God, saying, "God, let's face it, I don't like you, you don't like me, but help me end Shawn Michaels," is basically his thing, because they're really leaning into the whole thing where Shawn is a religious man now, and that's the big thing there. Okay.
Speaking of the Dark Order, once again, All Elite. Stu Grayson back in AEW.
I wasn't sure if that was a one shot or not, but good for him.
Love to see that. Love Stu.
This is also not breaking. It happened earlier. And this is a name not many people will know, but very, very recently, the last day or so, news came out that Jeff Gaylord passed away. Jeff Gaylord was
put it in the chat up above. They did say,
"Oh, okay, yeah." He was mainly a territory guy. He wrestled for the UWF, which was Mid-South, the Bill Watts territory. He wrestled for World Class in the USWA in Memphis, the Jerry Jarrett promotion.
Stephen Chambers, our wrestling historian, said R.I.P. Jeff Gaylord.
Okay. And the only thing he really did in WWE, WWF was they did a match at Survivor Series, and I want to say 93, which was it was supposed to be Bret Hart. What was the Hart family? It was Bret, Owen, Bruce, and Keith against. It was supposed to be Jerry Lawler in his nights, but that's when Jerry Lawler had his problems with the law, and it wound up being Shawn Michaels in his nights, and Jeff Gaylord was the Black Knight. But yeah, he did pass away. He was only like 64. Speaking of, well, this is a bad segue. Speaking of dead men, The Undertaker and Mark Henry is next in a casket match. I know we're running a little long here. We'll just say not the best Undertaker match.
Not at all.
He did some cool stuff. He did do the dive. He did over the casket. He did get Henry up for the tombstone, but you can leave this one be if you're watching the history of if we ever do a tier of the Michaels and Undertaker WrestleMania or the Undertaker WrestleMania matches, this is going to be. It might not be your F tier, but it's going to be D at the best. It's there like the Snuka match and Bundy and Giant Gonzalez and The one I have actually been at 2 Undertaker WrestleMania matches. One was very good, and one was the Undertaker and the Big Boss Man at WrestleMania 15, and it's around that level.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
So then we go right into the no holds barred match: Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon.
9 minutes 32 seconds. Taker, Mark Henry.
Okay. This one is something where and they have a big framed copy of the Muscle and Fitness magazine that Shawn was on, or Vince was on the cover of.
Probably the smallest Shawn was his whole career. He's lean in this match, very lean. What are you drinking?
Did you hear? That is a something I picked up today. It's a Red John.
Red John. Okay.
And did you hear the chants at this point? We want Brett. We want Brett.
Yeah. Well, Brett already went home crying. So
well, he wasn't comfortable. There was a "You both screwed Brett" sign in the front row too. I noticed.
Brett screwed Brett. We all know that's how it went down.
It was actually Vince, but that's another story for another time. Stand up for the little guy. Stand up for the working man.
Right. That's what I like Shawn.
So Shawn is your baby face here.
That's the Vince has this middle finger that will like it only like it's like
he'll bring up these two and then just kind of like that, yeah.
But like his 2 other fingers don't always come down, so he's like
yeah, it's kind of like that, yeah. So this is a whole thing where like Vince obviously can't hang with Shawn, which he shouldn't. It makes sense booking wise that the owner of the company, who is almost 60 at this point, shouldn't hang with Shawn Michaels, who at this point, even though he's going to retire in he's 22,
his second WrestleMania, his second Hall of Fame career.
Even though he's going to retire in 4 years, Shawn Michaels is still one of the very, very best wrestlers in the world at this point. Forget what he did in the past. He's still at that level. He's still Shawn Michaels. He's going to be in the main event of WrestleMania next year, even though he probably wouldn't have been unless Triple H got hurt. They're probably going to do Triple H Cena too. And Shawn was, I think, the guy who really took Cena up another notch in the ring. So it actually worked out perfectly. And the whole thing is here, like, Vince can't beat Shawn in the fair fight, so he's going to do everything he can to not make the fight fair. The Spirit Squad runs in early on, which, if you don't know who they are, it's Dolph Ziggler and a bunch of guys you don't know.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Dolph was, I believe, Nikki. And then you have Mitch, who his claim to fame was he dated Tori Wilson for a little bit. You have Johnny Jeter, who was only there for a little bit. You have Ken Doane, who is now there as a producer, and he was Kenny Dykstra for a little bit. And I don't even remember the other guy. There was Kenny, Johnny, Mitch. I don't even remember the other guy. So I guess he's the odd man out here. And Shawn goes through all of them, and then Shane comes in. Shane, this is 22. If you look at Shane at this, and then Shane when he wrestled The Undertaker at 32, he looks like he aged 25 years. Vince aged quite a bit too.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work making your dad want to love you.
Mike Mondo, Mike Mondo. Steven Chambers in the chat got it. Mike Mondo actually had a decent run in Ring of Honor. I don't know why he was the guy I forgot, but Mike
Steven
Mondo.
He knows his shit, man. I like Steven a lot.
Yeah.
He's very active on our Discord. Very, very big into wrestling. Good dude. I think he's a moderator. Do I still have him as a moderator?
And they try to handcuff Shawn, but Shane winds up getting handcuffed, and Shawn and Shane wind up trading, just wailing on each other with kendo sticks back and forth. Shawn just kills Vince with an unprotected chair shot to the head. I'm trying to think of the bad gimmick that chair shot was responsible for, because that killed some brain cells, that chair shot. I don't know what it was responsible for. It may have been responsible for Mordecai, but that may have come before this. It may have been responsible for Kazarni. I'm going to say that chair shot made Vince think of Kazarni. That's how bad it was. And the whole storyline at the end is just Vince is just beaten to a pulp, and Shawn will not give in and not give in and not give in, and finally just puts Vince out with the elbow drop. And they told a little bit more of a story of Money in the Bank, but you have one match here that is a great wild brawl hardcore spectacle, and it's Mick and Edge, and it's not this match. Shawn Michaels is great, and Shawn Michaels did what he could here, but there were limitations, and he did the most he could within them. And Shawn Michaels is truly one of the best ever here. And this do you know the match this leads to the very next month? I don't know if it was Backlash, but whatever it was called, the next pay-per-view.
Vince versus God?
No, it is actually a tag team match. It is Vince and Shane against Shawn Michaels and God.
Yeah.
But God apparently no shows.
Yeah.
Well, they do a thing where like God gets an entrance.
I'm shocked God Shawn agreed to that.
Yeah, it's money. Sometimes when these wrestlers do the whole Christian thing, it's half gimmick. I'm not saying that's the deal with Shawn, but
have you ever listened to the Shawn interview on Logan Paul yet?
No, I don't listen to Logan Paul's podcast.
It's very good. Honestly, Logan Paul's interview with Shawn was really good. He's a decent interview. Like he's not bad at all. Like I give him a lot of credit. But
also a very good wrestler, excellent wrestler.
Yes, very good. But here's what we were talking about at the end here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, with his bad middle finger.
Is that Regal taking him out?
That is no, it's Jerry Briscoe.
Oh, it is Briscoe. You're right.
Regal was still wrestling at this point, I think.
There it is.
So then we have a match we've actually covered on the old Tornado Tag show. It was Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton, and Kurt Angle for the world title. Angle is the champion coming in. This was
real quick. 18 minutes, 25 seconds, Vince and Shawn.
They should have cut maybe
8 minutes out.
8 minutes out and gave it to this match because this match is under 10.
Yeah.
And
this match got 9:25.
Yeah, everything's good, but it just didn't really click because it didn't get enough time.
Yeah.
This is your number 2 match of the night, and they didn't give it nearly enough time to breathe. And it suffers psychologically, the athleticism, the cool stuff. I know Undertaker loves this match. He says it's one of his favorite matches ever.
Wow.
I can name 10 matches each of these guys did separate that I liked more. But Ray gets the win, and it's his big moment. It's probably the highlight of his career. It's his first world title. He would win another one a little bit later. Win 2, actually. Win the world title again, and then he would win... I believe he would win the WWE title, but only for a few hours.
Now, this is where essentially the writers told Vince, like, if this payoff here isn't Ray getting the title, like they're walking out, essentially.
Because he was essentially like the de facto Eddie Guerrero, because Eddie died about 5-6 months before this. I think he died in November before. This is like March, April. And he wins the Rumble, and he gets the title shot, and the whole thing is, and we talked about it last week, where it's like Chavo turned heel by then, and it's like, yeah, why did you become the flag bearer for Eddie? But he was because nobody really wanted to see Chavo. I love Chavo, but nobody wanted to see him as a world champion. People,
and I think just because Eddie and Ray have just historic matches together.
Yeah, they had the thing with Dominic. They had there was a big history there. Yeah. So. Yeah, I guess Vince's original idea was that this would be Orton winning the title. Orton had won the WWE, or he won the title a few years before, like a year and a half before. And but this was going to be the time he was like the permanent champion. Was this wrong? Kerwin White, Monkey says no. Kerwin White was a few months before this. Kerwin White was actually right before Eddie died, because that was Chavo was a heel on Raw. He was just like, I'm denouncing being Hispanic and I'm going to be a white guy. And he bleached his hair blonde. Crazy. And he wore like yuppie clothes. And he had, before the Spirit Squad, that was actually Dolph Ziggler's first TV role in the main roster, is he was going to be Kerwin White's caddy. And he had a few things. And then Eddie died and they scrapped the gimmick. Like they just made him Chavo Guerrero again because they felt it would be, I guess, disrespectful if they had Eddie's nephew be Kerwin White right after he died. And that name, Kerwin, is a play on kind of like how Santino Marella is a play on Gorilla Monsoon's real name being Bob Marella. Kerwin, I'm going to pronounce his last name wrong. Kerwin Sifleys or Skiffleys is a longtime TV producer. He even produced or directed like Primetime Wrestling. He's one of the guys who worked with Kevin Dunn a lot.
Getting that Pilgrim in you. I still have a can of the lime beer downstairs. I might have
so good. It's so good.
So here's a question. Just know a little side tangent here. What are you doing tomorrow night?
Sleeping so I can go to the Icons the night after.
So around 8 o'clock, you'll be in bed.
We're getting ready for it. Why?
I'm thinking well, Mike was going to do it with me, but he has a booking the next day that night in Maryland. Riley Crow is going somewhere, so they won't be getting home till late. But I'm thinking about doing a live watch along of the GCW show, Gage versus Masha. It starts at 8 o'clock. Just like sit here we are now and just have a TV going and just watching and talking about the show as we're watching it.
When does it end? Because I do want to go to sleep early that night.
I mean, if it's not done by 10 o'clock, we'll call it.
It's not going to be done by 10 o'clock. I promise you.
All right. Well, we'll ride out, see how it goes.
All right. So your next match, Ray gets the win. Ray gets the title. The Guerreros celebrate with him.
Yep.
Then we have our popcorn match before the end of the night, which is
the co-main event. Is this?
No, they didn't do that back then. They would always put like something you would want to skip as like the match before the main event. Just to kind of, it's like
it draws the whole crowd out.
It's a palate cleanse. It's literally to cool the crowd down, and it worked fine here because that crowd was hot for the main event. And there was nothing that was going to stop that crowd from being hot for the main event. Yeah. But they used to do that a lot. Like, unfortunately, it wound up being women's matches a lot. And if they had more than one women's match like this, it would wind up being the lesser women's match that they would do that for a lot.
Well, this pillow fight gets more time than Boogeyman and Booker T.
I'm actually okay with that because that match was horrible.
Yeah, 4 minutes long.
I would rather you cut both of them and give both of those times to Ray and Orton and Kurt.
Yeah.
Especially because this is actually there's a few milestones here. This is Mick Foley's final WrestleMania match, I believe. This is definitely Mickie James's first WrestleMania match. This is Kurt Angle's last WrestleMania match for 13 years until 35 when he retired. This match is not a milestone.
Yes, a pillow fight.
The Playboy pillow fight. I think they both wound up doing Playboy right after this together. Candice Michelle and Tori Wilson. And it's basically the let's rip the women's clothes off match. It's every match you've seen like that. And it's so funny. Tori's thing was like whatever. But when Candice Michelle gets her dress ripped off, I'm like, her gear, other than the fact that she's not wearing like thick stockings like most women wear now, like her gear isn't any less revealing than what a lot of women wear now.
Yeah.
Like she's wearing a bra that is not showing anything less than a lot of the tops women wear now, and she's wearing short shorts. It's not like a thong. Like it's like okay,
like booty shorts.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be like sexist, but like most women wrestlers wear the booty shorts now.
Yeah,
like where the bottom of the cheek sticks out. That's like
it kind of shows you like even though we've progressed that we don't do these titillation matches and good. It's like they didn't really titillate as much like Tori did because like back in the day they would just like basically essentially be naked.
Well, that we're also in a generation there where if you had a big butt, it was considered funny.
This is where Molly Holly was considered.
Yeah, butts were not the fun thing. Even though when I seen Molly Holly's butt, I was like, I kind of like it. I don't know why.
Well, if you look back at Molly Holly, you're like they made fun of her for being like fat. I'm like, what? Molly Holly
was stacked. It was at that era. It was the era of boobs. Everything was boobs.
Yeah. The less said about that match, the better. And then we get into our main event. And the story here is this is really significant, especially with this game coming out. John Cena won the WWE title the WrestleMania before from JBL, but it was your co-main event for the night. Like, the main event was Batista beating Triple H. This is really the night. This is the time that WWE becomes John Cena's company. This is it. Even though he was a champion, even though Triple H is a challenger, even though they even mentioned that Triple H hasn't had a title in a year because the year before this at Mania, he loses it to Batista. The fact of the matter is, we are kind of, and this is why people didn't think, like, okay, obviously Cena's winning, because Cena had been champion for a year. He's due for, well, besides losing it for like 3 weeks to edge off of Money in the Bank a few months before this. It's like, well, Cena might lose here. This was the whole point where Triple H is kind of a hero because he's not Vince. Triple H is the villain in wrestling at this point, at least in WWE, because we are about 3 years in, or 4 years into Triple H, probably 4 years in, if not a little more,
The Reign of Terror.
The Reign of Terror. Yeah, Triple H is going to win whenever he wants, no matter who gets thrown under the bus. He killed Van Dam's momentum. He killed Jericho's momentum. He killed Booker T's.
Triple H is on Shawn Michaels.
Worse.
Yeah.
Triple H was kind of what Roman Reigns is now.
Except he's in charge of booking. Well, he wasn't in charge of booking, but
he was de facto, because he was dating the boss's daughter. He was the guy. It's like, when is this guy gonna lose? Why? Like, it is, but the smart audience was much larger at this point. It was like Hogan back in the day. Like, smart fans hated Hogan. They loved Orndorff. They loved Randy Savage. They loved this guy. They loved that guy. It's like, they loved Piper. It's like, why can't Hogan just lose? It was the same thing with Triple H. And that feeds into this. And then you get a very, very, the first of many, self-indulgent, over the top, why did this have to be so long, Triple H entrances. And then you get one that's very similar for Cena, where he's a Chicago gangster, because this is in Chicago. And this is as close as CM Punk will ever get to the WrestleMania main event, is right here at WrestleMania 22 as a gangster in Triple H's John Cena's entrance. Did I lose you? You're very still.
I don't know what happened there.
Okay. You didn't sell my joke, so I thought I lost you.
That's how much I no sold it. I was
you totally dropped
it might do it again here. Hold on.
Oh, you're still moving, so
we're good.
All right.
I hit restart Firefox and it just okay, we're good.
What I said was, if you look at the entrances, we talked about Triple H's self-indulgent entrance. John Cena gets one of his own, and as part of the ensemble cast for this entrance, CM Punk gets as close as he will ever get to a WrestleMania main event as part of the ensemble.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he would debut a few months later as part of the ECW brand. Very good match here.
Do you think he'd be able to walk out with a gun and shoot it into the crowd like John Cena did again?
It's not a real gun.
I know, but like,
no. They probably wouldn't do it now because WWE, and I think it's because this is before like Linda McMahon did the runs for Senate, and this is before it became very public knowledge that the McMahon family gives millions and millions of dollars. They're what are called a whale donor or a super donor of the Republican Party. It is before Linda McMahon was part of a cabinet of the last Republican president. It was before Linda McMahon, even though like her and Vince might not even be together anymore. Mm-hmm. It was before Linda became very, very much involved in the political machine for the most preeminent Republican politician in the country right now. Because all that is tied to them, they try to be as apolitical as possible now and have been for a while. They are so political behind the scenes that they don't want their content to be political at all. So that means guns are probably a no-no in any form.
But they'll take funding from the NRA.
Well, they'll also possibly sell to regimes that kill journalists. But what can you do?
You can't win them all, right?
Can't win any of them, really.
Yeah.
But this match is a winner. This match is fun, very psychologically sound. It's a very Triple H match. Nothing super high spotty, but it tells a story. And it really gets down to that STF, or at the time called the STFU at the end, where it's like Triple H isn't really going to tap, is he? Even though he did the same thing for Benoit 2 years before, it's like he's not gonna do it, and he does it. And this is Triple H passing the torch. This is kind of, and he would have title reigns. He was in the main event of 25, and he beat Orton. And really, the Sheamus match at 26 is the end of Triple H as a big, big, big player. But this is the end of Triple H as the focal point in WWE, and it's the beginning of John Cena as the focal point in WWE.
Yeah.
So a very historically significant show. The show itself is very high, low, up, down. But it's fun. It's worth it just for the Foley match. The main event's fun. The Mickey Trish match is fun. You can kind of skip everything else, really. But you can hear that from me.
Yeah, overall fun card. Just one more piece of news I just remembered about. So I'm a big fan of the WWE Superstar toy line. That's at Walmart, and they just announced 2 new ones. So we get our first double character, where he already had a figure, but now he's getting another figure.
Mash and Repo Man.
No.
Boo.
Hulk Hogan is getting another character line.
Hollywood.
So Hollywood was the first one. It was the NWO Hogan. It came with Hogan. Actually, no, that's a lie. No, Hogan was the first, because it came with Hogan, and then later on they did Scott and Kevin. And then Shawn came out, but he was like old school Shawn. But here's the new Hogan.
Red and yellow, very nice.
And then it comes with the jumpsuit.
Oh, does it have the war helmet?
No, unfortunately. Not. And then
or I'm sorry, the war bonnet. Oh, very cool.
Piper.
Here's a thing with that Piper go back. It's cool that they have the kilt and all this stuff. I have 2 problems with this.
Okay.
The blue is off. It should be darker. He never wore that light of blue. That's like a Ric Flair trunk.
Yeah.
And the musculature, first of all, it's not Piper. Piper was never that ripped in his life. Well, that's like Piper with a few extra doses of steroids on him. And then the other thing is just the build there. The way that toy is laid out reminds me, and maybe I'm the only one that remembers this, it looks like the wrestling figures you would buy at the dollar store. Back in the 90s, you would buy dollar store action figures that had the same like bicep, or the arm shoulder muscles would go up over the torso shoulder muscles. Yeah. The head looked rubbery, and the rest of the thing looks like a wrestling figure you would buy at the dollar store, except for the kilt and the microphone, and you can change the hands.
Totally fair. I totally agree with that.
It looks like a dollar store toy.
So
I will pay $1 for it.
So the reason that they're shaped like that is because of they're supposed to be like the He-Man line, or what was the old AWA toy line?
Remco.
They're like Remco versions.
All right.
I'm trying to find the one version that you'll laugh if you think the body type is off on Piper. Wait till you see this one. You're gonna love. I actually own this one. I had to order it twice because the first time I tried to order it, it didn't go through. But this is the other one.
Oh yeah, Mick looks
Jack. Look at those arms.
Yeah.
You ready? Let's take that shirt off. Shredded. But
that's not Mick. Somebody made Van Hammer grow a beard and dye his hair. That's Van Hammer.
But yeah, so that's the Vince. The Vince. That's Mick Foley. If Vince got that, make him his wet dream.
If you're into it, go for it. Sure.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those. That toy line. They announced Ray, Eddie, and Hogan too. Interesting. I
am
only
seeing some
heard
stuff that was
I only
announced
heard about
for
those two.
I am seeing some stuff that was announced for Super Card of Honor, which should be fun. Athena is defending the women's title against Yuka Sakazaki.
Oh,
and then we also have Samoa Joe will be defending the ROH TV title against Mark Briscoe, which should be very good.
Maybe that's the beginning of his solo run.
Well, yeah, they did announce what they're doing with the tag titles. They're doing the Reach for the Sky ladder match, and the Lucha Brothers will be the first team involved.
Okay.
And that should be very good.
All right. They're not supposed to be accurate. Yeah, it's like budget Build-A-Toy Edge.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't see the Edge one. New Edge figure. See if it pops up. Is it like the WB Walmart exclusive ones, or is it just like a new Edge in general? Who knows? Probably not the best time to be searching it while we're not a podcast anymore. This is a live stream. We can get away with it.
That's for after the stream.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll just check his Twitter real quick if he posted about it. It might be a new elite, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. All right. Well, that'll do it. So next week we will be doing WrestleMania 5.
The mega powers explode. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Macho Man, Randy Savage. Yeah.
I seen the lust in your eyes when you were touching him.
Should have probably won the match. But Hogan didn't lose back then.
No.
Should have probably won or done a DQ, something to do a return match at SummerSlam. But Hogan wasn't doing the job. As Bruce Pritchard says, Hogan must pose. What else is on that show? Just to kind of tease it.
Do you have it in front of you, or you're going to try to guess it?
No. I don't need the... can I guess? Do you want to... Go ahead. Pull up the WrestleMania 5 card.
I have it up.
All right. So
we're going to trust you here. I know you're a man of integrity. Brian BP does not...
Hands are here.
He does not have it pulled up, so this is all off memory.
So your opening match is... I'm not going to get them all in order. I know that.
Okay.
First of all, singing America the Beautiful is Rockin' Robin. That I know. Later, Run DMC will appear. You also have your opening match is going to be not for the crown, but Hercules against King Haku.
Yep.
You also have the Rockers against the Twin Towers, although I don't think they were called the Twin Towers at that point. Bossman and Hakeem.
Mm-hmm.
We have DiBiase and Brutus.
Yep.
We have Demolition against the Powers of Pain and Mr. Fuji.
Not in order, but still on the card.
All right. Yeah, I'm not gonna get the order. Oh boy. We have Beefcake and Mr. Perfect. Oh no, that's six. Take that back. I already said Beefcake and DiBiase. It's way later, but Mr. Perfect in the blue blazer.
Yep.
That is definitely 5. No, I'm gonna be way out of order here. We have Dino Bravo and Ronnie Garvin.
Nailed it.
We have I was going to jump on ones I can remember now. The Bushwhackers and not the Rougeau brothers, but as the Bushwhackers said, the Ragu sisters.
Yep.
We have oh boy. This is fun stuff, huh?
Two more tag team matches. Crazy.
I know at least one of them. One of them is going to be... Well, the tag division was stacked back then. You had so many tag teams. You have the Hart Foundation against the team of not quite Rhythm and Blues yet, but the Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine.
The other tag team match is... I can't wait to go back and rewatch it with like a new mind, because I really want to see these 4 work.
I'm trying to think what the other match could be, because the Bulldogs are gone.
Mm-hmm.
The Killer Bees are gone.
I think it's the best tag team match on the card on paper.
Okay, so I think I know. Oh yeah. I got it. It's not as great as you think it may be, because it turns into a long hot tag that never gets a tag because the one guy walks out. This is the birth of the model, because Rick Martel walks out of Strikeforce.
Yeah.
And leaves Tito Santana alone to fend against the Brainbusters.
The Brainbusters, Tully and Arn. I'll be wearing that t-shirt next week.
So
you're at 4 more single matches and you're done.
that's it?
Yep.
4. So we have Rude and the Warrior.
Yes.
Are we counting Hogan and Savage? I didn't say that one per se.
Yep.
We have
3 more.
3 more. Okay. That makes more sense. And now I might miss a handful here. I know I have the Rooster and Bobby
Yep.
Heenan.
2 more.
And so 2 more. Who am I missing?
Brian's going off memory of WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'll just try.
Of WrestleMania 5 that we are watching next week.
The show part of this is over, and this is just me trying to remember stuff. Oh, Jim Duggan and Bad News Brown.
Got it. One more.
So we got one left.
I'll give you a somewhat of a hint. A lot of disqualifications this show. 2 of them, one double count out. A disqualification on this match you're missing, and then Bad News Brown and Duggan ends in a disqualification as well.
Bad News matches always end in the DQ. Did I? Oh yeah, I got it. Jake and Andre.
You've
with
nailed
John
the card.
Studd as your referee. Yeah,
you've nailed the card. Is that where he throws a snake in and Andre?
No,
bounces?
I don't think it was I think what happens is because Andre and DiBiase are linked, and they use this to bridge to Jake and DiBiase. I want to say Virgil steals Damien, and Jake goes after him. And Andre's arguing with Studd about why aren't you counting him out, and then just Andre doesn't, or Studd is the ref and does a double DQ.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's WrestleMania 5. That's your whole card. That's one that has a that's my first WrestleMania. Like I don't really remember 4 too much. That is I didn't watch it live because we didn't have pay-per-view.
Yeah.
The first WrestleMania I watched live on pay-per-view was actually 6. But WrestleMania 5 holds a very, very significant spot for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's the card. You fucking nailed it.
Yeah. It is a talent that has absolutely no use.
Bro, you've been getting the ladies your whole life with this ability.
Yeah, they love when you can just randomly do. You know what it wins you? It wins you things like this. You win free hats at Pilgrim Wrestling Trivia. That's what that gets you. I still have $7 on my gift card from last year. I realized that today. They were like, "Do you want a gift card or like merch?" I'm like, "I think I still have money on my old gift card, so I just take some merch."
Yeah, that's the way I would have went. That is so that's gonna do it. Next week we'll be back with WrestleMania 5, the card that Brian just guessed off memory because he's a psychopath.
Yes. Very good way to put it.
But so we'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Like I said, if you're in the Philly area on Saturday, come hang out with us. We'll be in 2300 Arena, as well as
ECW Arena,
the ECW Arena, as well as Columbus Boulevard,
Delaware Avenue.
Yep. And we'll be eating cheesesteaks. I just don't know where from yet.
Well, it depends on when we eat them. It depends on when we eat them and how far off the route you want to go. Is really the we're probably, if you're going from the arena to the HCW show, you're gonna pass South Street. It's like, how deep do you want to go off of South Street? Are you driving? Are you walking?
We're probably driving because we have no reason to go back to the arena later on that day. So we'll probably we'll drive to the arena and then drive to the next venue and hope there's a freaking parking spot.
Yeah. There's like supermarkets and stuff around there. You should be fine. It's South Philly. The one I've never been to because it's the new kid on the block, but everybody seems to love it, is Angelo's.
Yeah.
The old Stalwarts. I don't know if Jim's might still be closed because they had a fire. But South Street has so many. Another one of the new hoity-toity places is Woodrow's. You have Ishkabibbles, which is a classic. You have John's Roast Pork, which some people love. An embarrassment of riches when it comes to the cheesesteak scene down around there. You have right by the arena, I think it's called like Nick and Tony's now, the former Tony Luke's. If you want a roast pork, I would go there. Maybe not for the cheesesteak.
Nice. It looks like that Hogan has a variant. Someone just sent me the link of all the new toys that dropped. All the toys he sent me are cool, but I only care about the Superstar ones. But it looks like Hogan has a blue gear, like instead of the yellow, he has the baby blue.
He would do the blue. He would do or does he have a white headband by any chance?
Yeah.
Is that Rip? Is that variant Rip? Because that's big. Rip is Hogan's character from No Holds Barred. And he wore blue trunks and white boots, and he had a white bandana that said "Rip 'em."
The new Eddie looks good. I see the Edge now. He showed me. It doesn't nothing on the trunks, just blue trunks, blue knee pads, white headband.
Does the white headband say "Rip 'em"?
Nope, just blank.
Then it's not Rip.
Yeah,
it's Blue Hogan.
Yeah, there's a Rip variant and a Zeus.
Yeah, that one was super expensive though. Yeah.
I don't do chases. If I don't get the chase, I'm over it. But
No Holds Barred was either the first or second movie I ever saw in the theater. I don't know if that came out first or Ninja Turtles.
I might have just pre-ordered the Piper and Hogan. Oops.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. My bad. I only need a few more. And I'm pretty much caught up in that line. They came out of Rick Rude, but it still hasn't hit the shelves yet. It looks cool. But all right, that'll do it. We'll see you guys next time. Let us know what you guys think. If you think the maybe the name of this should be just bring back Tornado. I don't want to call it a podcast because if you're not listening to it audio wise, I hate calling a podcast. But maybe just to give it like a name, like Tornado Tag, and then like we'll just make the file name Tornado Tag and go from there. We can rebrand it. Maybe I can just do some Photoshop skills and take the name and just like cut it and then paste it and then make it black. I'll figure it out, and we can still use the same logo because I literally bought that logo and I love it. The problem is we used it for like a month and then it went away and I paid for it. So maybe we'll bring it back and sell merchandise of it that way. Maybe. Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here. Some music by Billy Trey, the former Tornado Tech podcast music. Bye-bye.
See you, Icons.